542 kills. It's the most famous number in sniper history, and it belongs to a quiet Finnish farmer named Simo Häyhä. One of the biggest tellings of his story says the number was validated by his company commander and the regiment's chaplain. Here is the problem. Nobody has ever produced the tally. Not the Finnish army, not even the museum that keeps his rifle. Every major retelling we checked repeats the number as confirmed fact, and our own film about him led with over 500 and the refused scope too. So this time, we ran the legend back to its sources. All four pillars of it: the number, the refused scope, the sniper who finally got him, and the name itself. Starting with the number, because what the records show is stranger and better than the legend. And the paper trail runs through a newspaper printed while he was still lying in a hospital bed. This is not an investigation of whether Simo Häyhä was extraordinary. He was. It is an investigation of what other people attached to him afterward. The numbers written down during the war are fewer than you'd think. The earliest is 138 rifle kills, counted to the 22nd of December 1939 and cited to his regiment's activity report. It is the one figure in this whole story attributed to a surviving archival document. Häyhä kept his own count too. He called it his sin list, and before Christmas he had it at 150. By the 17th of February 1940, when an honorary rifle donated from Sweden was presented to him, the figure current at divisional level was 219. Rifle kills only, with a note attached, an approximately equal number with the submachine gun. Hold on to that phrase. It is where the rest of the number comes from. 219 plus approximately the same again. The second half of that sentence was never a count. It was an estimate, expressed as a comparison. And 12 days later, Finland's biggest newspaper did the arithmetic in public. Helsingin Sanomat, the 29th of February 1940. The Finnish master shot has felled over 400 enemies. 219 with the rifle, 219 with the submachine gun. One real number doubled. Run the same logic forward another week to the day he was wounded, and you land in the low 500s. That is where over 500 comes from, not a second larger count. The same count doubled and rolled forward, but the exact number, 542, appears nowhere in the wartime record. Every trace of it leads to the same place, 1942, 2 years after the war, and a book by Antti Rantamaa, the regiment's chaplain. The same chaplain who had spent the war writing the newspaper pieces that made Häyhä famous. Finland's national broadcaster states it flatly. The figure is Rantamaa's. His book has never been digitized. Nobody has produced the daily tally it would have rested on. One modern Finnish researcher, Hannu Narsakka, went looking for the records. He reports that no record-keeping of Häyhä's kills has ever been found. The war diary of Häyhä's own company, where a working tally would have lived, could not be found by the one researcher who has published a search for it. The wartime figure and the serious reconstructions that exist today all land between 219 and 273 rifle kills. Still among the highest sniper records ever written down, just not 542 confirmed. And the man himself? In the summer of 1940, convalescing between operations, Häyhä wrote in a private notebook, "During my whole time at war, I shot about 500 Russians." About. An estimate, offered privately, below the number the publishing industry would later settle on. Years later, the same researcher records him saying the figures had been exaggerated. In his words, the Winter War was not a competition, but a struggle. The most famous kill count in sniper history, and the man it belongs to didn't believe it. But the number was only half the legend, and the records are harsher on the other half. The popular retellings say he refused a telescopic sight, that the deadliest sniper in history looked at modern optics and chose iron sights instead. Superior craft, a master's choice. The Finnish procurement records tell a different story. The regular army had ordered 250 optical sights from a Helsinki firm 2 years before the war. By the day the Soviets crossed the border, 84 had been delivered, and not one of them had been mounted on a rifle. Only a handful of prototype sniper rifles reached the field before the fighting stopped. The full run of sights wasn't completed until the summer of 1940, after the war ended. Add the Civil Guard's stock, 11 sniper rifles from the 20s and 25 more from the 30s, and Finland went to war with a few dozen scoped rifles in a force of 300,000 men. The Red Army came the other way with over 54,000, so there was no documented offer for Häyhä to refuse. There was almost nothing to offer anywhere. His reasons for shooting with iron sights were real, and they were recorded. You keep your head lower, the glass doesn't fog at -40, and a lens catches the sun. That last one he proved in the field. In the best documented episode of his war, his company had lost 4 platoon leaders and suspected a single Soviet sniper. Häyhä was sent to answer him. In his biographer's account, he watched for hours until the low sun flashed off the other man's telescopic sight at 450 meters. One shot. The reasoning was sound, and it was vindicated by the scope on the other side of the duel. What the legend gets wrong is the choice. He was a Finnish sniper in 1939. Finnish snipers shot with iron sights because there was essentially nothing else to shoot with. The records don't make that smaller, they make it bigger. He did it with what a poor army had, and what it had was him. Every claim you've just heard has a paper trail. Our 77-page evidence file, The White Death, a source dossier, holds all of it, and the disputes we can't fit here. It's linked in the pinned comment. The wounding, at least, everyone agrees on. Except they don't. The famous version says a Soviet counter-sniper finally found him on the 6th of March, 1940. The Kolar Museum states plainly that during that battle at Ulismainen, Häyhä was not working as a sniper at all. He was leading a squad in an infantry fight. 2 independent Finnish accounts say the shot came from an ordinary infantryman, attacking at close range. And Häyhä's own notebook, written 5 months later, settles the posture in one sentence. Wounded in the forest while chasing Russians. Chasing, not sniping, not withdrawing. The round was an explosive rifle bullet. That part every source agrees on, including him. It tore away his left cheek and shattered the jaw. His comrades turned him onto his side, bandaged him, and hauled him out face down on a sled. He woke up on the 13th of March, the day the war ended. What happened next, most retellings skip, and it is documented to the day. Nothing was heard of him through March, and the rumor spread that he was dead. This is the newspaper from the start of this film. His local paper, Laatokka, printed his death notice on the 2nd of April, 1940. According to his biographer, on the 7th of April, the same chaplain, Rantamaa, preached a memorial for the fallen Häyhä at the regiment's last field service. Häyhä read his own obituary from a hospital bed and sent word. The paper printed the retraction on the 16th of April. He cut the death notice out and pasted it into his notebook, next to a single dry line. A death notice about me has even been written in the newspaper. That notebook surfaced in an attic in 2017. When the museum published facsimiles of it, the first copy sold at auction for €3,500. It opened at 100. Which leaves the 4th claim. The name, The White Death. The story says the Red Army coined it, for him, in terror. Here is what the contemporary record shows. The phrase existed during the war. Finnish propaganda used it for Finland's ski troops in general. And from Soviet prisoners' own testimony, to the Russians, it meant something else entirely. The killing frost of the deep forest. A hazard, not a man. The Finnish army's own photo captions from February 1940, the closest thing to a contemporary record of what people actually called him, use a different word. Mestariampuja, master shot. No contemporary source found applies White Death to Häyhä personally. As his nickname, it appears in Finnish literature of the late 1980s, nearly 50 years after the war. And his own notebook, which records the reporters, the photographs, and his bafflement at the attention, never mentions it at all. The name on the thumbnail of video after video, including ours, is a title he never claimed and may never have been called. So strip it all away. The 542, the refused scope, the counter-sniper who supposedly got him in the end. The name. What's left? A farm boy who finished 22nd out of 27 at NCO school, whose only perfect mark was shooting. 17 years of volunteer militia ranges. A decade and a half of district competitions. A 3-week army sniper course and his own rifle, carried from home because he knew exactly what it could do. Wartime records that still put him among the most effective snipers ever written down. Counted at the time under a standard so strict it could only undercount. The records don't diminish Simo Häyhä, they locate him. The legend was built by other men, a chaplain, an information officer, and 50 years of retelling. The farmer underneath it never needed their help. When they finally asked him, near the end of his life, how he did it, he answered with one word: practice. Scan the code on your screen for the full evidence file behind this investigation, the sources, the disputes, and the material that didn't fit. It's our 77-page White Death source dossier. The link is also pinned in the comments. And for more of the record behind the legends, make sure you're subscribed to the channel.